Verse by verse meditations. Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10 and verse 16. And the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite. These three people groups are also offspring of Canaan. Let's have a look at this map. This shows the 7 different nations that the Lord promised to remove from before the Israelites. And so these are the Jebusites. The Amorites are here, but we will also find the Amorites on the other side. And also the Girgashites up here, and the Hittites down here. The Hittites, of course, would also be found up in Anatolia or Turkey. So as seen on this map, they are 3 of the 7 peoples. So as seen on this map, the Jebusites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites are 3 of the 7 people groups named that would be overthrown by the nation of Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations, greater and mightier than thou. If you come across a verse that would list these peoples, and only 6 are listed, you will find that this actually happens from time to time. In most of these scenarios, it is the Girgashites, or as pronounced in this particular verse, the Girgasites, that are left out. We need to be reminded that in the centuries that immediately followed the flood, that people groups were not completely isolated. All areas had a mixture of Shem, Ham, and Japheth's descendants. Each of the people groups mentioned in chapter 10 would in fact rule the areas that we are saying that they migrated to. We see the Hittites ruling South Canaan, but their strongest power base would have been west of the Ararat Mountains in Turkey. So it also happened where people groups ruled more than one area. This might be the reason for the confusion when the historians are trying to place them. So as we look at this map, we see that the Amorites would have migrated to a number of different places, including the land of Canaan, as well as on the other side of Jordan. The Amorites were a very strong people, and they did in fact rule lands on both sides of the Jordan River. In Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 4 and 5, after he had slain Sihon, the king of the Amorites, which dwelt in Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, which dwelt at Ashtaroth and Edrei, on this side Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Moses to declare this law, saying, Jebus, the father of the Jebusites, had a city named after himself. David would capture this city and rename it Jerusalem. We read in 1 Chronicles chapter 11, verses 4 and 5, And David and all Israel went to Jerusalem, which is Jebus, where the Jebusites were, the inhabitants of the land. And the inhabitants of Jebus said to David, Thou shalt not come hither. Nevertheless, David took the castle of Zion, which is the city of David.